This could be really big news for the Boston Red Sox down the stretch here. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Just a heads up, before we get into the actual video here, we are going to be live right here on this channel tonight, right around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be watching the Red Sox take on the Kansas City Royals, going for their 7th win in a row. Could be a ton of fun, so make sure you guys are there. Again, that is tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Red Seat Radio. Now, normally on Red Seat Radio, when we're talking about prospect promotion and stuff going on with the minor leagues, we're talking about the future of the Red Sox, right? We're talking about guys coming in and possibly making an impact at 26, 27, whatever it may be, a little ways down the road for this Red Sox team. However, occasionally we get a prospect promotion where you sit there and you say, man, this could be really impactful this season. And that's exactly what we're talking about with this guy today, because he's been promoted so many times. We're starting to see a path to him being a big leaguer in 2025. Now, who am I talking about here? Well, of course, I'm talking about the new #1 prospect in the Red Sox system, Payton Tolle, because over this weekend, our friend over here on Red Seat Radio, Andrew Parker, actually reported that he had been promoted up to AAA. Now, if you're sitting there saying, well, wait a second, didn't we just talk about him on Red Seat Radio getting promoted to AA? You're absolutely right. Back at the end of June, Payton Tolle was promoted to AA. That's how quick this guy's moving up through the Red Sox system, because in AA, he really only got 6 appearances, 5 of them being starts, and of course, he absolutely dominated those. He ended up pitching to the tune of a 1.67 ERA with a 2.35 FIP on the year in AA and a 0.96 WHIP. So less than 1 hit or walk every inning that he was pitching in, which are fantastic numbers, by the way. I don't think I really need to go into detail as to why those are really good numbers, but I did just want to say those are absolutely fantastic numbers. Of course, his strikeout rate remained pretty elite, sitting in that high 30% range at 37.4% specifically strikeouts. That's over 1/3 of the batters he was facing are sitting right back down on that bench. The walk rates ended up being pretty much the same as it was in high A at 7.1%, which is a pretty solid percentage. That's about 5 strikeouts to every walk given up. I would say that's a pretty good ratio to have as a guy this is his first professional season in Major League Baseball. One thing that did stand out in his brief time in AA was the fact that he was able to increase his ground ball rate a pretty decent amount. It jumped from 33.9% in high A to 40.4% in AA. I don't know if that is by design or if that was just circumstance with small sample size, but regardless, it's another sort of inch towards really successful potential from Payton Tolle, right? Because if you combine the ability to absolutely wipe dudes out with the swing and miss and sit these guys back down on the bench, with the fact that even when you are making contact off of Payton Tolle, it is on the ground and directly to somebody. That's a really, really good combination, right? You're either a power pitcher or you're a finesse pitcher. Right now, Payton Tolle's a little bit of both. Now, obviously, it's not in that elite combination, right? It's not over 50%. It's not strictly tough ground balls that these guys are hitting off of Payton Tolle, but seeing that sort of increase is another step in the right direction for this guy to really become one of the more elite pitching prospects in Major League Baseball, and that's sort of what he has become this season, because it's been an incredible skyrocket in terms of prospect prestige for Payton Tolle in his first professional year. He started out this season in the Red Sox system as the number 13 prospect, according to the absolute GOAT when it comes to prospect news, SoxProspects.com. In their most recent update, he became their #1 prospect in the entire system, right? That's a really big jump for a prospect like Payton Tolle. We're seeing it on the national level as well, hopping into top 100 prospect lists. He's in the 90s on MLB.com, which I imagine in their next update is going to really increase pretty significantly, right? I think you're going to start to see him jump over guys like Yostinson Garcia in the Red Sox system, so I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think you should be surprised either when the next one comes out and he's number 50, number 40, somewhere in that range, I'd have to imagine. He's also number 40-ish on Baseball America's top 100 prospect list, right? You're starting to see his name pop up everywhere, and for good reason, right? He has been absolutely fantastic this season, and now we get to talk about whether or not he's going to impact the Red Sox at some point in 2025. Because now that he is just one step away from Major League Baseball, and the fact that, as many of you know, rosters expand for Major League teams from 26 people to 28 people on September 1st, if he keeps pitching the way he's pitching, which I have to imagine he's going to be able to do in AAA here, because we talk about this all the time, right? The hardest jump for a prospect to make in any type of position here is that jump from high A to AA. Once you get past that, obviously the next big jump is going to be from AAA to majors or AA to majors, whatever it may be. But AA, when it comes to just strictly minor league organizations here, is usually the bigger jump prospects have to go through. This dude absolutely killed AA. I have no inkling of doubt that he's going to be able to do this in AAA as well, right? He's going to be fantastic in AAA, and if that's the case here, it's really going to be difficult to make the argument that he shouldn't be one of the names called when Red Sox, or really MLB's roster, expands at the beginning of September. Now, the question really becomes, is it going to be more beneficial for the Red Sox to bring him up as a starter or as a reliever? And my guess, and I think a lot of people's guess, just simply based on how much easier it's going to be to fit him on the roster, is going to be out of the bullpen. Now, right now, there aren't any plans to see Payton Tolle out of the bullpen in AAA at the moment. According to Chris Cotillo, the plan right now is to continue having Payton Tolle make some starts here. But these aren't incredibly normal starts for Payton Tolle. They are on a bit of a pitch inning limit, and he was doing this in AA as well, where his starts would max out around 4 or 5 innings. The answer as to why that's happening is pretty simple. It's because Payton Tolle has never thrown over 86 innings in his entire collegiate career. They don't really want his first professional season to be 150, 100 whatever innings of pitching baseball, right? You don't want this guy to end up hurting himself. You want to sort of ease him into a bigger workload at the professional level, and that's exactly what the Red Sox are doing, considering the fact that he's already at 76 innings pitched. You're probably not going to see him make some incredibly deep starts with the AAA Worcester Red Sox. I would even imagine we start seeing starts where he's going 3.5, 4 innings here, right? Instead of that 4 or 5 inning limit. But as we get closer to September, this is absolutely a name to pay attention to. If we start to see him start taking some games out of the bullpen, I have no doubt in my mind that the Red Sox are trying to incorporate this guy into their plans for September, which would be a ton of fun, right? This is a guy who has an absolutely electric fastball from the left-hand side, a little bit of a wipeout slider in there as well with a changeup. Like, you sit there and you say, this guy could be an absolute force to add into a bullpen that the Red Sox could really use, right? I mean, you got some guys struggling in that bullpen right now. Hicks, Alcala, right? These are names that the Red Sox could end up moving on from and replacing with some of this really impressive talent that they've started to develop in their system. Now, the one question I have with Payton Tolle and the bullpen is exactly where he's going to fit in, right? You take a look at where the Red Sox are at right now, and you already have Steven Matz, you've got Chris Murphy, you've got Justin Wilson, you've got Aroldis Chapman in there. Adding in another lefty would really make this bullpen pretty lopsided when it comes to right-left-handedness. Now, that's a big reason why Brendan Bernardino ended up being optioned, right? We talked about that the other day. It just creates this wealth of depth for the Boston Red Sox, and adding this guy in could throw that depth off a little bit. But at the same time, too, if you're talented enough to just simply get everybody out, which is what Payton Tolle's doing right now, right? He doesn't care if you hit from the right side, the left side. He doesn't care if you stand directly on home plate. He's finding a way to sit you down in a pretty exciting way. I think that shouldn't really matter, right? If you're going to be a guy who's going to go out there and give you legitimate innings, regardless of what side of the plate you're hitting from, it's a guy that's absolutely worth having on your major league roster. Now, this is going to be an interesting decision for the Red Sox, because normally what you end up doing here is you end up going one position player, one pitching player, right? And that's sort of how they go with rosters expanding, and that's probably what the Red Sox are going to do. So they do have some options down in AAA. Obviously, Bernie's sitting down there. Zach Kelly, Nick Burdi are currently down there. I'm assuming one of those guys is coming back up for Alcala at some point in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you're watching this video, one of those guys is up for Alcala. And then you've got guys like David Sandlin and Conley Early, who are also in AAA, who are also very exciting pitching prospects. But at the end of the day, it's hard to deny what this guy is doing, right? There is a reason why he's the number one prospect in the Red Sox system. There's a reason why we're starting to see him pop up on top 100 lists. There is a reason why Sox Prospects podcast talked about how good their fastball is and how it could legitimately carry him all the way to Major League Baseball this season. We could be talking about Payton Tolle, the prospect, getting some legitimate big innings for this Red Sox team as soon as the next month, and that's incredibly exciting, right? We sit here all the time and talk about this pipeline for the Boston Red Sox. And a lot of people come to me and they go, Corbin, why are we even focusing on the prospects of this system, right? Why are we having a conversation about these guys? They're not impacting this team anytime soon. I want to talk about what the big league club is doing. Well, for really the first or second time this season, I think we talked about Roman Anthony and Marcelo before they came up as well. I'm assuming we did, right? They're pretty big prospects to have a conversation about. Outside of those guys, this is really the first time this season where we're sitting here saying this could be a legitimate big impact player. This could be a guy who could legitimately help the Boston Red Sox get to a postseason for the first time in 3 or 4 years here. This is how good Payton Tolle has been this year and how good he could be in the future. Now, again, this is probably in a bullpen role with the conversation we're having right now. I don't see him coming up and making starts for the Red Sox unless something kind of goes terribly wrong in the rotation, which I'm not fully taking off the table right now, and that's probably a big reason why the Red Sox are limiting his innings as well. But if you aren't excited about this move, you absolutely should be. This is another weapon the Red Sox are developing, and the first glimpse we're going to get of a kid who could be a major impact player for the Red Sox for years to come. So to see him get to AAA, to start to have these conversations about how he's going to fit on the big league roster and what kind of push he could make towards the end of the season is always a ton of fun. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? What do you think about the idea of Payton Tolle coming up and being an impact player for the Red Sox? Does this promotion make it easier for you to digest that? Do you still think they give him the year to develop and then try him out in the beginning of next year? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. I will see you tonight for our live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Red Seat Radio. And as always, in the red seats.